Offline, good afternoon. Yeah, all of you, good afternoon. Okay, then welcome to your GS Advanced course, starting off with Geography and Environment. So I'm very specific that we will not discuss the regular topics which I presume you have done in your GS classes already. I have to move beyond that, and the teaching will include the question answer discussions also. Okay, so our focus is 3-4 things. One is coverage of advanced topics. The second is we will have answers writing, and third is you will have your tests. This is part of your mains preparation, and I hope to finish all of this by December, January, and thereafter we'll start off with your prelims. We'll have mains majorly, but I will try to put 10 to 20% of efforts also for some amount of prelims. हम zero नहीं करेंगे, maybe around 2 or 3 weeks from now. We'll give you 10-20 questions once in 2 or 3 days, once in a week, to keep the momentum on. And the prelims exclusive jo hoga, what we call as the prelims support program, will start only from January mid or end January, depending upon how we have processed. So ये आपका 2 part होगा. Okay, so I'm insisting that advance, because I know last time when we had this, a lot of students were expecting me to teach a lot of topics of the regular classes, which is not possible. I cannot finish off the topics, फिर आप फंस जाएंगे आप लोग. So my idea is, you know the basics, you have done good amount of reading already. I will add on from here. Now for reference books, yeah, that's what I'm discussing, Abhinav. Now this is the course more or less. I repeat, the first one up to December, January, आपका mains focus रहेगा. Plus I'll see how I'll pace some amount of prelims also. And starting from January, I'll move on towards prelims. Yes, only advanced topics. Yes. ठीक है? उसके बाद I'll make it prelims exclusive, ताकि we are assured about qualifying the prelims. And once this gets over, post prelims, we have your third component, which is your main support program. Okay, main support program is largely around answer writing and rigorous tests hoga. Whatever we have taught here, we come back and revise and recall and give your mains examination. So we are focusing on this one first, and we'll move towards eventually. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, tests honge, classes honge, analysis hoga. Okay, tests honge. Tests bhi aapke practice test alag hoga. Aapke sectional tests alag honge. We will make you revise some topics also. Yes, it's test included. In fact, prelims zyada test oriented hoga. Okay, lot of content we also will provide, but largely content oriented. Okay, essays. Masood, this topic will have essays, but not rigorous. Okay, it will have some. In fact, देखो CSAT अपने आप में एक अलग से module है. So we'll have CSAT, which is part of some tests here. Okay, so we'll not teach you CSAT. मैंने कहा ना वो आपने कर लिया है. When I'm saying I'm getting ready for the advanced course, I'm assuming you have done the CSAT, and the additional practice sessions, कुछ tests होंगे, वो हम add कर देंगे. And if you have fear about CSAT, आपको पूरा करना है बेटा, वो तो अलग कोर्स होगा. Okay, so I don't think I can add the entire CSAT. Not possible with me. Okay, so and I think all of you would have got your schedule also. Okay, that is fairly indicative. Though I will change some things depending on how we progress, but more or less we are on those lines. Okay, so let's get started now. The first thing that we have done is you've understood the scope of geography and environment, okay, including some topics of disaster management, okay, in your GS. Iska scope aapne dekh liya. Last time I have done analysis for you. Now, references, I will discourage any book other than your NCERT books for references, your class notes, aapne jo bhi padha hoga. See, what I believe is a foundation course does not vary too much. आप कहीं भी चले जाओ, the content is more or less the same. 5% ऊपर, 5% नीचे, किसी ने 2 extra पढ़ा दिया है, किसी ने 1 कम पढ़ा दिया है. So whatever notes you have, you must have faith in those notes. But the problem is, most of you are not converting the notes into your summaries. इसके बिना you will struggle quite a bit. Because when I say, let us discuss some topics of geomorphology in GS, I expect you remember and recall all topics of GS first, of geomorphology. Otherwise, you struggle. So whatever, so rather than reading new books right now, okay, NCERT follow karo for geography, GS, notes ko karo consolidate and make a summaries, please. Geography option students, you need not do too much for GS geography alag se. Just stay with me in the class. Okay? This is reference. Plus, of course, you have to add lot of current affairs. So, हम आपको बताते रहेंगे. Like, for example, अगर earthquake पढ़ा रहे हैं, then I expect you should know a bit more on the Syria and Turkey earthquake. If I'm teaching you, say, topics related to water pollution, then you better know issues related to recent, जो कुछ हुआ है पंजाब में, some things have happened right now. If I'm talking about floods, then you better know about the floods of urban areas. If I teach you disaster heat waves, then you must know about what heat waves we have this year. Europe में heat waves हुआ है, India में heat waves हो रहे हैं. So lot of discussions are around current affairs. So इसके लिए अलग से book नहीं चाहिए. I will keep prompting it to you and you keep on revising articles or whatever you can. Okay, Tarana, I will put it across. Those who have joined us, we will give you our schedule also. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so some of you not got it, but we'll share with you, no problem. Okay, so this is the scope you know and the references you know. Now we'll start off now. Now quickly, what are the topics asked? So syllabus आपको याद है, I believe. The syllabus of geography includes the world physical geography. It includes important geophysical phenomena. It includes resources and their distribution. We have industries and their location patterns. इसी में ही है important features and their distribution, geographical features. And the fifth is, or sixth is, topics related to changes in the changes in the critical geophysical features or geographical features. These are the main topics of a syllabus. लिख लो आप side में कहीं पर please. So I want you to remember this like your back of the palm. इसमें कोई doubt नहीं होना चाहिए. The first is, I said, it's about world physical geography. इसमें कि climatology, oceanography, सब कुछ आ गया आपका. World physical geography. Second is geophysical phenomena. The geophysical phenomena, earthquakes, cyclones, tsunamis, floods, droughts, geophysical phenomena. Then resources and their distribution. World का और बहुत specifically बताया है. Resources of South Asia. Okay, resources related to India. Take resources and distribution. Then industries and the location pattern. Industries and location pattern, both for India and for the world. Okay, industries and location pattern of industries. And उसमें कि पूछा हुआ already, T में पूछा है, cotton they have asked about rubber, they have asked about distribution of horticulture, food processing industries, and so on. That then features and their distribution, geographical features and their distribution. Okay, इसमें थोड़ा सा vague है because they can ask you urbanization features, they can ask you population and the distribution, they can also ask you topics of infrastructure. Okay, what are the geographical features and the distribution? Okay, and this one is the changes in the critical geographical features. The changes in the critical geographical features. Okay, तो आप घर जाके syllabus को आप बार-बार देखें. You'll have great insights every time you see a syllabus. Okay, plus of course, I also said that you must know the topic overlap with paper 3 economy के साथ में क्या-क्या overlap है. Okay, agriculture is a very big overlap. Agriculture crops wala dimensions. Okay, agriculture related to food processing industries. I think आपको question numbers याद है, right? Okay, we have 4, 5, 6, 7 in paper 1, 13, 14, 15, 17 in paper 2. Please go back and do all of that work. Okay, agriculture topics हैं. Then we have topics related to infrastructure. Infrastructure again, agriculture infrastructure. We have topics of land reforms. Okay, and topics related to trade. Okay, trade and transport. These topics are economy के साथ में overlap हैं. Okay, which we otherwise may call this as geonomics. Geonomics. Okay, so you must go back and have a look. The way we have discussed last time. Question number 3, 4 or 4, 5. Question number 7, 8 पूछ देता है. Question number 13, 14 पूछा हुआ है. Then your 17, 18 question. I hope you remember those topics. Okay, so what are the questions? Paper 1 में it is 4, 5, 6, 7 and plus 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Either these 4 or these 4. Okay, plus एक random number रहता है. So around 8 to 9 questions आते हैं paper 1 में. And in paper 2, question number 3, 4, question number 7, 8, question number I think 13, 14 and 17, 18. Generally, these are the questions around geography, environment and disaster management. Okay, so we have done this work last time. I presume you'll go back and have a look. Okay, keep this in mind. Yes, correct. Keep this in mind, all of you. Generally 18 wala hota hai disaster management, 17 wala environment linked to some legislation programs and so on. Okay, these are agriculture questions. These are agriculture questions. ये वाले questions pollution वाले questions होते हैं. ये भी agriculture वाले questions होते हैं. ठीक है? So please do this work on your own once to have a sense of you understand the questions asked. Okay. Now, under PYQs, let me discuss two components first. One is what are the questions asked under a world physical geography. World physical geography में क्या-क्या पूछ दिया है already. So you exactly know what I must teach eventually. Okay. In world physical geography, if I divide into 2 parts or 3 parts rather. Okay, so we have topics related to geomorphology. We have topics related to climate, and we have topics related to oceans, oceanography. Okay, under geomorphology, जो सवाल पूछ दिया है, they've asked one question last year on rocks. Okay, they have asked one question related to your Pacific belt. They have asked on mountains and linked to climate से भी पूछा हुआ है. They've asked on continental drift theory and evidences पे पूछा हुआ है. Okay, they've asked one on plate tectonics, not a big one, but something around your plates tectonics. They've asked one on mantle plumes. They've asked one on mantle plumes. They've asked one on the island arcs. Island arcs. और एक question delta से भी पूछा हुआ है. I am talking about last 10 years का paper. Okay, 2013 onwards. These are the questions asked as a part of geomorphology. लिख लो please. Rocks पे question है, circum-Pacific belt पे question है, mountains and climate, how they related, and plus अलग से भी पूछा हुआ है one question on the fold mountain distribution. Like they've asked this. They've asked on continental drift theory and evidences. खासकर specifically they've asked on glacial evidences. They've asked on plate tectonics and boundaries. They've asked on mantle plumes. What are mantle plumes and some impact there? Asked on island arcs, the islands of Philippines, Indonesia, usse pucha hai. And one question on river delta formation. River delta formation. Yeah. And ek related hai. They've asked something indirectly, but they've asked something on the Deccan traps. Deccan traps. Otherwise, Indian geography से पूछा नहीं है from geomorphology. What are the rocks of India, the physical features of India, formation of Indian mountains, Himalayas in particular, maybe formation of northern plains, ये सब कुछ नहीं पूछा है. So all the questions are from the world and make sense why, because आपका syllabus भी बोल रहा है world physical geography. But I won't be surprised if they ask you something on India also. Okay, but you can see the question tells you it's more around the world physical geography. ठीक है, इंडिया से मॉनसून्स में गए हैं. I'll come back on afterwards. ये geomorphology है. On climate they've asked 2-3 questions. Last time पूछा हुआ question था something on troposphere. Troposphere and climate पे पूछा हुआ question है. Okay, they've asked on air masses. They've asked on air mass. They've asked on your formation of hot deserts. And why are the hot deserts on the western side of the continents? Hot deserts. And apart from this, they have asked one on monsoons. तो indirectly पूछा है, but एक monsoons पे पूछा है. See, I am talking about what are the questions on physical geography. I will classify. तो ये अलग topic है. Okay, physical geography अलग है and geophysical phenomena अलग दिया है. So I will discuss earthquakes, volcanism अलग से पूछेंगे आपको. Okay, hello Hemant. Hi Caprice, how much time should take to please not those questions now. कितना summary के लिए कितना time लगेगा यार? Google search करो, 1 लाख वीडियो मिल जाएगा how to make summaries. Okay, और मुझसे सीखना है तो okay, you will have to maybe come down and talk to me, not on YouTube like this or online anywhere like this. ठीक है? Let's get back. So I'm keeping these two. अभी मैं इसी पे focus कर रहा हूँ. These two topics. So I'm talking about world physical से क्या-क्या पूछा है पहले. Then I'll move on towards what's asked from the geophysical phenomena. ठीक है? So climate से ज़्यादा पूछा नहीं है. Okay, and from oceans, they mainly have asked on ocean currents. They've asked ocean currents. They have once asked on ocean salinity. Ocean salinity. And they also have asked on water mass. On water mass. So you know the weightage is more on the geomorphology part. Okay, but यहाँ से ना questions repeat हो गए हैं. Okay, ocean current से 3 बार question repeat हो गया है. Water mass is an aberration. I don't think they should ask this one. But यहाँ पर भी 2-3 topic बचता है. So if I ask you now, okay, see how I would prepare. Okay, if I ask you now, tell me in this topic, what are the 3-4 areas that they still can explore beyond this? तो आप क्या क्या आएंगे इसमें? Now, I think ये 2 बहुत broad area है. Plate tectonics. Plate tectonics के evidences. Okay, plate tectonics and very specifically on some boundaries पूछ देगा. They might ask you to compare, contrast plate tectonics and continental drift theory. Okay, but they can ask you separately on plate tectonics and volcanism. This is a very big area which they have not got into too much of detail, but a possible area. Okay, the second possible area that they can get into is something around Indian geography. Like Indian geography में, I think Himalayan formation is a rich area. How have the Himalayas formed? Okay, and they can ask you about something on northern plains, say the formation, the types of northern plains, give a regional description of northern plains, कि Bihar plains and Bengal plains and Assam plains, because news में रहते हैं, floods हैं, droughts हैं. Okay, and I think they can ask you any one area of the plateau, like compare contrast Eastern Ghats, Western Ghats, compare contrast Western Coastal Plains, Eastern Coastal Plains, write a note on Chornagpur Plateau, write a note on Aravallis, उस type का पूछ सकता है. I think this is the scope. What can we ask beyond what they already have asked? So something very specific on the features of the peninsular plateau. Specific on the features of the peninsular plateau. So they can ask you any one region. Okay, say write a note on, I said Deccan Trap, पूछ दिया indirectly. Deccan Traps and Resources पूछा हुआ है. So they can ask you something on, I said Aravallis, the important वाले, not everything. Aravallis, Eastern Ghats, Western Coastal Plains, Assam Plains, Northern Plains. Okay, I don't think they'll ask you on Telangana Plateau or Rayalaseema Plateau. That is too deep and too specific. Okay, maybe specifically on Nilgiris, maybe it's possible. Okay, that, and there are no questions on India's vegetation. That I think is because when you talk about or in general the world vegetation, they've asked just hot deserts, but they can always ask you on savanna type of climate, note on Mediterranean climate. Okay, so ये जो climate वाला part है, this is I think a very fertile area. Climate, hot deserts पूछ दिया है. The possible questions I will say is Mediterranean climate. They can ask you on because we have melting Arctic and Antarctic. Possible question is your tundra regions. Tundra regions. I think a savanna could be important. No, see, I doubt they'll ask you anything. ऐसा नहीं होगा. They'll ask something which is more significant. So monsoons पूछा हुआ है specifically. So these are some of the possible ones. जिसमें की questions बनते हैं. Okay, and they might ask you something on maybe local winds. Local winds. They can ask you on atmospheric circulations. जो broad themes क्या हैं? Atmospheric circulations, Ferrell's model, or ask you on Hadley's model, trade winds, से पूछ दिया कुछ. Okay, local winds, Sirocco, or local winds like Hamsin or Mistral or Fawn winds. I believe most of you should know these. इसको मैं पढ़ाऊंगा नहीं आपको. I'll give a list of questions से आप अपने आप देखें and what you can do there. Okay. Apart from this, I don't think climate में, because troposphere, climate, air masses, okay, hot desert, monsoons, and this should suffice for the world discussions. ठीक है? And oceans में current salinity. What they can ask you is something on distribution of coral reefs. Halanki this also goes into environment eventually. They can ask you on coral reefs. They can ask you on ocean bottom relief. Like ocean bottom relief, like more pe question पूछ दिया, MOR, more pe पूछा question, because they've asked iron arcs. Okay, more pe पूछ दिया. They can ask you something on maybe Atlantic Ocean relief or Indian Ocean relief, which are typical NCERT level discussions. Okay, this apart from this, I do not see, because currents ho gaya, salinity ho gaya, water masses. In general, maybe if you want shelf, slope, and abyssal plains, okay, I think you manage that part. So this I think is the scope of world physical geography. ये पूछा हुआ question है, and these are the topics you have to get ready with. Okay, and not all of these are tricky questions. ये straight questions ही बनेंगे more or less. ठीक है? So let me frame 3 questions for you. Okay, right down here. So I'm starting with oceans. Okay, oceans में. So one question they can ask you is, discuss the characteristic features of the Morse. Discuss the characteristic features of the Morse. Morse. Okay. Okay. Then explain the significance of study of Morse. Explain the significance of the study of Morse and how it helps in appreciating the origin of the Earth's crust. How it helps in appreciating the origin of the Earth's crust and the features associated. लिखा आपने all of you, online students. Okay, discuss the features of the More. Okay, and then explain the significance of studying Morse and what it tells us about the origin of the Earth's crust and the features as a part of Earth's origin. That's the question you have to answer. Now see, an important exercise in your answer writing will be, so most of you, or many of you are doing this for the first time, is that when you are studying or writing a question, किसी भी question में, you make sure you have identified all the key words and you have identified all the question descriptors. Okay, discuss. Descriptors are what is it demanding? It could be discuss, it could be explain, it could be analyze, it could be comment. We call these as question descriptors. Okay, and keywords, whatever are the keywords. Just like in this question, the keywords are discuss the characteristic features of More. Okay, so what are those features which are important aspect of Morse? No, Abhinav. Okay, this type of question I would appreciated had you asked me 6-7 years ago. Okay, he's asking me, sir, bataiye difference kya hai, examine, discuss and explain. Bad one. आप जाओ YouTube में, मेरे videos भी हैं, and look up dictionary, please. Okay, see, एक time के बाद में some questions become stale questions. Okay, यही question आप पूछते 5-6 साल पहले, I would have spent 1 good hour explaining it. Now it's all there, out there. Okay, अगर इतना आपको जिगर नहीं है, Abhinav, you don't deserve for the examination itself. आप अपने आप बैठो, make your own notes, अंग्रेजी में है, open dictionary and finish it off. And let me focus on a more important aspect. So don't make me do all of the repeat work again, Abhinav. ठीक है? So anybody else in doubts class में होगा इस words पे, आप अपने आप करें उसको. आपको समझ में नहीं आ रहा, ask me one specific I explain, but I can't have an essay on what these terms mean. Okay, get back. In this question, a very important part was discuss the characteristics, features of the More. This was one aspect. And the second aspect was tell us what is the significance of the More. So आपका ये important word है. Characteristics क्या है बताना है आपको. Okay. And significance क्या है? Now significance का मतलब क्या होता है? Importance क्या है? But I have qualified it कि do not tell me any significance. Tell me significance in perspective of understanding Earth's crust evolution. Okay, significance in terms of understanding how our Earth's crust differentiation happened, how it has evolved, how it has changed, और इसके साथ में whatever features are associated. ठीक है? So कोई भी question होगा, that's the first step. Underline all the keywords. Okay, so what are the features of the More? Okay, and if you have got 4 or 5 features, features of the More. Now my suggestion to all of you is, in answer writing, typically what I encourage is, write telescopic language, which is not too much of grammar. Okay, the description hota hai na, the oceans are a very important part of the Earth's crust. They are made up of a diversity of the features, and the ocean floor has a shelf, slope, etc., etc. And there are mores not required, because this is a very tight, compact. आपको लिखना है 150 word, 120 word, 200 word में. Time constraint is huge constraint, and they are not checking your language any case. Okay, आपका language check होगा in your essays paper. यहाँ पर सीधा शुरू करना है. Okay, the question answer. Okay, and in GS in particular, intro कुछ नहीं हो, सीधा hit करो. Okay, so important features of the more. Number one, okay, that they are basaltic in composition. Okay, number two, that they are elongated continuous ridges, and they are cut by transform faults. The features, they have axial rift valleys at the crest, and are associated with volcanic eruptions. Okay, features. Okay, the mores are locations of sea floor spreading. Okay, the fifth feature, the mores. Okay, the mores have the youngest rocks of the ocean floor. They are the most recently formed basaltic accumulations. You understand what I mean by telescopic writing now? आप sentence grammar नहीं लिखेंगे. Okay, सीधा word hit करो. Following are the few more: composition, dimension, important features, okay, and something about whatever is unique there. They're basalt in composition, they're elongated continuous ridges, but they're cut by transform faults. The axial rift valley, crest pe we have axial rift valley, and those rift valleys have volcanic eruptions. Yes, absolutely. You can also add this. The axial rift valley and this rift valley are examples of normal faults. Yes, absolutely. Agreed that they are normal faults. Normal faults ka matlab hai associated with stretching. That they are the locations of sea floor spreading. Locations of sea floor spreading, and the mores have okay, the locations are locations where we have the youngest ocean floor rocks. These are locations where the recently formed basalts are accumulating. And because देखो सारा यहाँ नहीं लिखना ना, I must write the next part also. Now that I have the features, okay, so what is the significance of the more in terms of appreciating the evolution of the Earth's crust? Okay, significance of more in terms of evolution of the Earth's crust. Can somebody tell the points to me? या आप अपने आप सोच के बताओ 4-5 point क्या होगा? What significance do the mores have in terms of understanding the evolution of the Earth's crust? Anybody? Don't give me any terms. Okay. Something, yes. What is it? एक काम करेंगे, आप लोग लिखो. अथवा ऐसे एक वर्ड गिराते रहोगे, सर आप बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक दे दिया, आप बनाओ आंसर हमारे लिए. Okay, write down, write rough, okay, in your own words. हर पार्ट में अगर आपके पास 2 या 3 points हैं, the work is done. So I want 3-4 points under this head. सोनल से सर मैंने अभी ओशनोग्राफी पढ़ा नहीं है. Any case, this is not oceanography. This is actually geomorphology. Can we give intro by giving definition of more? Yes, you can. But then in writing intro is something like this. Listen, all of you listen. आप इतना ही लिख सकते हो. Okay, so my assessment is आप around 15 से 20 lines लिख सकते हो in the 7 minutes that you have. ठीक है? So अगर if you know the proper answer, अगर पता है क्या लिखना है, तो ये 15-20 लाइन हो जाएगा उसमें. जब नहीं पता है तो घुमाओ फिर, और क्या. Okay, then your line is oceans are wonderful creations of the great God. कहानी डालो. Moors are short form of mid-oceanic ridges. लिखो कहानी. Okay, definition. क्या रटा मारा बताओ आप लोगों ने? You're asking me, can we write definition of moor? बताओ क्या definition है moor का? Let's see that. What is moor? क्या लिखेंगे आप? Moor are long, elongated ridges made of basalt, ocean floor. But आपको क्या लग रहा है? इसमें ये points में है नहीं वो कहानी. So don't mechanically add point. No, जब point नहीं है तो ज्ञान देते रहो. Okay, moors make up a very remarkable, fascinating feature of the great God's creation, unique only on the earth, nowhere else. लिखो वो सब कहानी. जब आपके पास content नहीं होगा ना, ये आप करेंगे आप. तो keep it for time when you don't have content. अभी तो हम कह रहे content है आपके पास. इतना ही लिखने में आपका चला जाएगा 5 मिनट. Trust me. Okay, this is not less amount of content. So क्या define करोगे बताओ सिद्धार्थ? What will you define here? Have you remember definition? Like आप ऐसे ही गोली दे रहे हो. I hope you got the point here. So जब नहीं है content, तो then play. जब कुछ नहीं पता है तो go for एकदम show. देखा जाएगा जो होगा. Content है, and now you are studying that, so do it with me properly. And I am saying don't waste any word. It's a very tight examination. Like every word matters. It takes time. That's what I'm saying. एकदम hit करो. Okay. No introduction. कुछ नहीं चाहिए. Question आपके ऊपर है. The following are the features of the moor. Start off. जो इंट्रोडक्शन में आता था 4-5 यहां डाल दिया आपने. I hope you got the point. आप इसको क्या बोलोगे? Will you call this as bullet writing or paragraph writing? It's somewhere in between. Bullets में what people do is they write only one word. More basalt, more elongated, more okay has rift valley. Don't do that. The bullets must have a sentence. Okay, so moors are basaltic in composition. Moors are elongated continuous ridges and they're cut by transform faults. एक sentence बना ना आपका. The bullets, what happens is it helps us write fast and it helps the examiner also check fast. इसमें language नहीं देख रहा है. He's just checking do you have the key words or not? Do you have the key words or not? That's all. And he's done with it. Fine, all of you. That was a bad one, Radhika. What more tell you about subduction? You must join the course of foundation. Okay, आ जाओ. Okay, इसको घेरो इसको. Okay, subduction बता रहे हो आप for moors. Okay, anyways. I hope you got the point here. So no left right thing. सीधा point में आओ. Tell me what is the significance of moor in terms of understanding Earth's crust. Give me 3-4 points. So sorry. No, I'm asking evolution of the Earth's crust. See the point mein aao. First point, they are locations of the ocean crust formation. Okay, how is ocean crust formed? This is where, I mean, obvious point chodo mat na. Significance are, ye point bataiye yahan aa sakta tha. That these are the locations of the ocean crust formation. So significance is, the moor tells us the ocean floors are not permanent features. They are formed. Like the moors are the locations where the ocean crust is formed. Okay, is the beginning of the ocean crust. Okay, the moor is the location where the mantle rocks convert into basalt rocks. Moor is the location where the mantle rocks convert into basalt rocks. Very bad, Sohail. Moor is not the location of continents formation. Moor is location of ocean formation. Okay, हाँ, आप ये कहते mores are the locations where continents break and split apart. Mores are locations of divergent boundaries. Yes. But एक पास सेंटेंस में ना, okay, मुझे चाहिए कि बताओ मोर से आप क्या जानते हो ओशन एवोल्यूशन के बारे में या क्रस्ट एवोल्यूशन के बारे में. हम क्या जानते हैं तो इन हिंदी में क्या जानते हैं कि यहीं पर क्रस्ट बनता है. Okay. और क्या जानते हैं यहीं से कॉन्टिनेंट टूटता है. We got the point? Which means the mores are the basis of understanding how the Pangea had broken up and split apart, and the creation of oceans like, okay, the Atlantic Ocean. I hope you got the point here. So do not write anything. As I'm saying, pay a lot of attention to what is being asked. एक बार वो exhaust हो गया, फिर जो बोलना है बोलो ना. It's like you are saying things without saying the most important thing first. Okay, so they are the locations of ocean crust formation. This tells the significance is the mores tell us that the ocean floor are not permanent features. They are not permanent features. The oceans are formed. The oceans are formed, and there are processes that recycle the ocean floor. There are processes that recycle the ocean floor. Up within bracket rag lena. Okay, mores are coupled with subduction zones. Mores are coupled with subduction zones. That's one. Okay, two ho gaya. Three. Mores are locations of divergent boundaries. Mores are locations of divergent boundaries. Yahan dal do dash. Locations of rising limb of convection cells. They are locations of divergent boundaries. They are the locations where we have rising limbs of convection cells. Okay, and Morse initiation as a part of sea floor spreading. Morse initiation as a part of sea floor spreading is responsible for continental split and continental drift. Responsible for continental split and continental drift. Okay. इसी में ऐड कर देना एग्जाम्पल में the study of Atlantic Moor reveals how the Gondwana land must have broken up. Reveals how the Gondwana land must have broken up into South America and African continent. Into South America and into African continent. So more is integral to understanding. So mores are integral to understanding breakup of supercontinents like Pangea. Mores are integral to understanding the breakup of supercontinents like Pangea and how continents split and drift on the Earth's surface. Aditi, polarity studies are not important at the Moor. They're important at the other parts of the ocean floor. Okay. Polarity pattern कहां पढ़ते हैं आप पढ़ते हो ओशन फ्लोर पढ़ते हो पूरा, नॉट जस्ट मोर. मैं पूछ रहा हूं मुझे आंसर बताओ मोर के बारे में बताओ. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. मोर्स were active wherever they're active are zones of earthquake belts. In fact, mores together make up about 2 to 5% of the world earthquakes. The zones of earthquake belts suggesting that the ocean floors are not static. The ocean crusts, ocean floors are not static, but dynamic parts of, not static, but a dynamic parts of ever-evolving Earth's crust. Parts of ever-evolving Earth's crust. Yes, Radhika, correct. कुछ छूट रहा है बताओ? What are the significance of Morse? And I said, talk about the other features also. Featureless. I'm talking about features linked to Morse. Okay. उसमें हम ऐड कर देंगे एंड में. यहां तक क्या बताया मैंने? अर्थक्वेक बता दिया मैंने आपको. हाउ कॉन्टिनेंट स्प्लिट होता है वो बता दिया आपको. I've told about the basalt formation here. I've talked about the feature called as dynamism. Okay. Then you can end the answer towards saying that Morse are part of the larger ocean landscape. Morse are part of the larger ocean landscape that include trenches, hotspot locations and seamounts. Trenches, hotspot locations, seamounts, abyssal plains, and features like the fractures, on the ocean floor. Acha, I forgot one point. I'm so sorry. एक point हम भूल गए features में. Okay, that the Morse, okay, with their transform boundaries, with the transform faults. Yeah, I forgot this point here. Yeah, add karo. Morse with their transform faults are evidences of sea floor spreading process. And hence are evidences of plate tectonics. Morse with their fracture faults, with their transform faults, are evidences of sea floor spreading and hence evidences of plate tectonics. No, Masood. Okay, वो लिखेंगे. See all of these points. वहाँ minerals हैं, वहाँ currents हैं. ये सब चीज ना जब points नहीं होगा तब लिखोगे आप. So can you write? Yes, but not at the cost of the more important points. आप एक काम करो, जो मैंने लिखाया आपको, ये आप लिख के दिखाओ पहले 6 मिनट के अंदर. टाइम बचता है फिर ये सब लिखना आप लोग. और अभी मैंने ड्रॉ भी नहीं किया मैप इसमें. You will draw some sketches and some diagrams, right? So remember one thing. Can I write this? Can I write that? Yes, you can write whatever you want to write. Okay, but the issue is, do not write anything at the cost of the most significant part. Okay, अगर मुझे लिंक करना है ना, मैं कहूँगा I can link Salman Khan with this. कैसे? More includes Azores and Seychelles Islands, और वहां पर सलमान खान जाते हैं शूटिंग करने. Okay, Moors are significant for Indian Bollywood scenes. ठीक है, ये सब कब लिखोगे आप? कुछ और याद नहीं आ रहा है. Okay, सलमान खान का चेहरा याद आ रहा है, लेकिन चिपका दो वहां पर. Masood, is it okay now? So I call this all the not immediately linked topics as not the important points. पर इतना लिखो, write and see how much time it takes. Time बचेगा फिर आपको जो लिखना लिखें. All done? So I've taken care of one question. So initially I'll do this, okay? I'll teach you how to write answers. What I mean by bullet writing, what I mean by on the point writing. No left right. ज़्यादा घूमना नहीं, scope नहीं आपके पास में. Then we'll see how you can improvise over that. Yes, Radhika, we have done that. Shraddha, we have added that. Composition, yes, we have done that. They are part of constructive boundaries. Yes, we have done that. Okay, अच्छा एक point आप add कर सकते थे. I agree on that. That if you look at the activity, relative activity, the more activity is far more than the subduction activity. The significance here है, maybe the earth is expanding, although we are not sure about it. but these topics only an optional guy will know. तो अगर पता है तो ऐड करो सिद्धांत, otherwise ignore it. ठीक है? So I'm done with one question. Okay. So ocean bottom relief का part है. Okay. Now another question आप ऐड करो. Okay. Write a note on ocean bottom relief of Atlantic Ocean. Ocean bottom relief of Atlantic Ocean. Comment on the significance of. Comment on the significance of different parts of. Significance of different parts of Atlantic Ocean. Different parts of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm sure none of you will say आपको ये पता नहीं है. You know this topic, but maybe okay, इसको लिखना ना, अब लिखना कितने में होगा? I'll suggest any answer you practice. GS में खासकर, do not write for more than 2 pages. Okay, वो कुछ भी पूछे, 10 मार्क पूछे, 15 मार्क पूछे, 30 मार्क पूछे. Okay, 2 pages lot of space for any GS answer. Unless they say write an answer on 60 marks का, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला. वही 10-15 मार्क का ही होने वाला है. Sometimes 12 marks, sometimes they might change to 8 marks or 9 marks. But stick to within 2 pages. Within 2 pages means sometimes 1.5 page, sometimes even 1 page and 1/4 page. That's also okay. Okay. So now this question, you tell us the diversity of the Atlantic Ocean bottom relief. Okay. Now see, this is the question that has lot of facts. इसमें ज़्यादा analysis नहीं है. The discussion analysis, squeeze it down to a nice short paragraph. Facts को part bullets, part table and part maps में छोड़ देना. You don't have to make a paragraph on the Atlantic Ocean has great diversity of trenches. There are many trenches locations. Some of them are here. No. Atlantic Ocean hyphen trenches. 1, 2. Finished. Atlantic Ocean marginal seas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's over. I hope you got the point here. जो भी facts के content होंगे, do not weave paragraphs on those. So GS answer and optional का ये बहुत बड़ा difference है. In optional, they want discussions. There are theories, there are concepts, your debates and discussions. In GS, hit the point straight away. GS में your objective should be, I will write right, I will write relevant, and I'll finish the entire paper. Right and relevant के साथ में the beautification of language not possible because paper काफी lengthy होता है. Everybody struggles to finish the GS paper. Take all of you. So let's start off with. So I've given like an answer. I'll give you. Okay. So Atlantic Ocean bottom relief. Atlantic Ocean bottom relief. Okay. So quick intro type of 3-4 lines. So Atlantic Ocean. Okay. Atlantic Ocean, S-shaped ocean. It is relatively a younger ocean. Its formation largely was from the Mesozoic times, largely formed during the Mesozoic times. And Atlantic Ocean has distinct 4 parts. There are continental shelves. It has continental slopes. It has a transition zone continental rise. It has the abyssal plains. It has abyssal plains. ये चारों feature Atlantic Ocean में बहुत prominent है. Okay, it has 4 parts: the shelf, the slope, the rise. Okay, and इसी में ही add कर देना. That shelf is comparatively very broad because these are passive margins. Comparatively very broad shelf because okay, the margins of the oceans are passive margins. का मतलब क्या, यहाँ पर कोई subduction हो नहीं रहा है. जहाँ subduction होगा like Pacific Ocean, The boundaries will not have the shelves. यहाँ पर shelves are very, very broad. Okay. The slopes are distinct with submarine canyons. The distinct submarine canyons. So we have Hudson Canyon. Okay, we have Congo Canyon. Hudson Canyon. We have Congo Canyon. Okay. Rise पे ज़्यादा लिखना नहीं है. Abyssal plains are the largest part of the Atlantic Ocean, and this is true for any ocean. The abyssal plains generally make up more than 70% of the ocean floor. Okay, they are fairly large, they are fairly wide parts of the oceans at abyssal plains. Okay, and there is a diversity of features of the abyssal plains. The diversity of the features of the abyssal plains. So, what are the features? A very important feature is that there is a moor system. Moor system is an S, a shaped spine. It has two parts. The northern part is called as the Dolphin Ridge, and the southern part is called as the Challenger Ridge. Okay, it is S-shaped spine, central part hai. It has two parts. The northern part is called as Dolphin Ridge. The southern part is called as Challenger Ridge. Okay, the northern and southern parts, they are separated by the Romansh Deep. Separated by the Romansh Deep. Okay, the moor is the location of the Atlantic Ocean spreading. Atlantic Ocean spreading, and the more, it has fractures. It has fractures and it has transform faults. It has fractures and it has transform faults. So if you can quickly sketch the diagram of a North Atlantic, do not draw the entire world. नहीं जरूरत नहीं है. A quick sketch of the Atlantic, and I'll suggest do keep some colors if you can. Okay, so this becomes your Atlantic moor system. These are the transform faults. The transform faults that we have here. Okay, this is the area called as the Romansh Deep. Area called Romansh Deep. Okay, साथ में side में बीच में small sketch. Moor is the most significant part of the Atlantic Ocean. The most significant part of the Atlantic Ocean is the moor. All done? Okay. Continue. Abyssal plains आप लिख रहे थे. Abyssal plains. The second feature on the abyssal plains, okay, that there are locations, okay, along the. There are ocean basins. These are parts of the floor. Ocean basins, such as we have the Caribbean basin. We have the North Sea basin. We have the Gulf of Guinea basin. Gulf of Guinea basin. And just for your knowledge, if you want to know a bit more, on the western side of the Atlantic toward North America, एक Nares basin है, Nares. There is a Nares basin. Just no 3-4 names. The abyssal plains has basins. Okay, these are the two important features of the abyssal plains. Okay, abyssal plains, and we have the deep sea plains. The deep sea plains. Deep sea plains, they are not as extensive in Atlantic as in the Pacific Ocean. The deep sea plains, they are not as extensive in the Atlantic as in the Pacific Ocean. मैंने बस listing कर रखा है. No discussions on these points. What they have. Then some of the other features. Other features of the Atlantic Ocean. Number one is trenches. There are mainly three trenches. We have the South Sandwich Trench. We have the Puerto Rico Trench, and we have the Cayman Trench. And these trenches, they are associated with minor plates, small plates हैं. So Pacific Ocean में ज़्यादा subduction नहीं है. Okay, the Pacific Ocean does not have, Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean does not have too many subduction locations. Does not have too many subduction locations. Okay, there's a feature. Third is there is a subplate on the Atlantic floor. There is a major a subplate called as the Caribbean plate. There is a subplate, chota plate hai, minor plate hai, on the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, and this subplate has lot of volcanic islands. Antilles Islands, Cayman Islands, Antilles Islands, Cayman Islands. Okay, you have got Trinidad Tobago Islands, Trinidad Tobago Islands. Okay, don't track entire Cuba. ये mistake हो जाता है. Cuba is continental in origin. Okay, it is the continent part broken. वो volcanic islands नहीं है. Okay, they have continental rocks. So subplates Caribbean with volcanic islands. So Cayman Islands volcanic है, and Antilles, the lesser Antilles Islands are volcanic islands. The third one, Atlantic Ocean has a hot spot volcanisms. It has hot spot of volcanism. Three important ones. Okay, hotspot का मतलब क्या होता है? The locations of localized volcanic eruptions. Hotspot volcanism. So we have these Azores Islands. Azores Islands hotspot hai. They are part of the Moor itself, Azores Islands. Then we have Ascension Islands. Ascension Islands. These also are hotspot locations. The southern Atlantic Ocean mein hai. And third is part of Iceland. The southern part of Iceland. Northern part of Iceland is part of the continent. It's continental. Northern part is extensions of Scandinavian highlands. Southern Iceland, it has hotspot activity. There's a lot of volcanic eruptions here. So there are certain hotspot islands. And then a remarkable part of Atlantic Ocean are, to elaborate this, that there are numerous marginal seas. There are numerous marginal seas. Okay, or marginal seas ka main reason is that the margins are not active margins. If you compare Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean mein active margins hai. So active margins will not have, say, essentially watch here. What I mean by marginal seas. So imagine this is a continent. Okay, this is another continent. Another continent. Okay, and this is another continent. Okay, this is the ocean, and this is also another ocean. This ocean में there are a lot of indents. So एक sea यहाँ पर है, एक sea यहाँ पर है, एक sea यहाँ पर है, ये भी एक sea है. Seas are what? They essentially are inlets of the oceans. So we have got large Indian Ocean, एक part बन जाता है Bay of Bengal, एक part बन जाता है Arabian Sea. Seas वही हैं, right? So these small become seas, the bays, gulfs. Whereas इसमें क्या almost smooth line है. You don't see seas here. This type of line develops whenever there is some collision boundary. Okay, because of collision, the irregularities are removed. It all becomes a smooth line. Think of North America se leke South America tak. It's almost because of collision. Okay, we do not have too many seas here. Okay, and on this side, Pacific Ocean mein, okay, we have some islands. Otherwise, this also is a smooth line. So an ocean, just making margins. Now, this is example of active margins. We have got subduction going on here. We have subduction going on here. ये active margins हैं. Okay, these are passive margins. This is not actually a plate margin. The whole thing is one plate. ये पूरा एक प्लेट है. Okay, बीच में आपका मोर बना हुआ है. इसमें ये पूरा प्लेट नहीं है. इसमें जो प्लेट है, ये एक प्लेट है. So this margin is a plate boundary. यहाँ पर plate boundary यहाँ पर है और यहाँ पर है. I hope you got the point, all of you here. So Atlantic Ocean, because it has passive, and this is a discussion point. Because the Atlantic Ocean has passive boundaries, there are numerous marginal seas. It is indented coast, correct? It is indented coasts. Indented coasts. Okay, so write 4-5 names of the seas. You have got Caribbean Sea, Caribbean Sea. You have got Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Guinea, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Guinea. We have North Sea. We have North Sea. Okay, we have the Gulf of. Okay, the Gulf of Rio. Gulf of Rio, down south. Okay, where you have La Plata system ends. Okay, Gulf of Rio. Then we have the largest one is the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea. Okay, then we have North Sea. Say we have the entire Baltic Sea. Baltic Sea, the Gulf of Bothnia. Gulf of Bothnia, the Bay of Biscay. Yes, the Bay of Biscay. Correct. Okay, and they have very broad shelves around these marginal seas. These marginal seas have very broad continental shelves. They are very broad continental shelves. और जहां पर भी shelf broad होगा, those areas will have good amount of oil and gas resources. The broad shelves are important for, number one, oil and gas resources. 4 places have this. The shelf of Venezuela. कहां पर oil gas है? Hudson Bay, मेरे बच्चे, Hudson Bay Arctic Ocean का part है. It's not Canada. Mohit Grover. Yes, not Atlantic. So Venezuela Gulf, okay, has oil resources. The Gulf of Mexico has oil resources. Make a list. कहां पर resources हैं? Gulf of Mexico, Venezuela Gulf, Venezuela coast. We have Nigeria coast, Gulf of Guinea. Nigeria coast, Gulf of Guinea. We have North Sea. North Sea is rich in oil and gas. North Sea. The 4 locations which have oil and gas. The second resource is Gulf of Mexico is also famous for sulfur deposits. Gulf of Mexico also important for sulfur mining. ठीक है, नहीं पता है तो बता रहा हूं, लिख लो और क्या. मुझे पता है, some of you may not know. Okay, write down. The third is because of broad shelves, marginal seas, they are rich fishing grounds. They are rich fishing grounds. Okay, so we have fishing grounds of Grand Banks of Canada coast, fishing grounds of Grand Banks, fishing grounds of Dodger Bank. Dodger Bank कहां पर है? North Sea में. DOGGR, Dodger Bank in the North Sea. Grand Banks are Canada, Newfoundland coast. Okay, we have fishing zones of Norwegian Sea. But Norwegian Sea now becomes borders of Arctic Ocean. Fishing grounds of Norway. Norway is a very important country for fishing. We have got fishing resources of this one and the fishing resources of Gulf of Mexico. Fishing resources of the Gulf of Mexico. Okay. Next point. Next point. I'm done with the marginal seas. I'm done with the banks and the rest. Next point. The parts of North Atlantic, on the margins of Greenland and Iceland. North Atlantic, margins of Greenland and Iceland. And Icelands are elevated plateaus. Elevated plateaus. So this is the Moore system like this. This is the Moore system here. So what I'm saying is, ये वाले part में, okay, this is elevated plateau. एक elevations यहाँ पर है, floor पे. They are called as telegraph plateau. They are called as Willie Thompson Ridge. Telegraph plateau. Okay, and what happens is this plateau has lot of telegraph and internet cables connecting North America and Europe. Elevated है तो वहां पर wires पड़े हुए हैं. That's how they call this as telegraph plateau. Data lines यहाँ पर जाती हैं. Okay, they have telegraph lines. They have got internet data cable lines connecting North America and Europe. Connecting North America and Europe. Yes, telegraph plateau. Okay? And finally, the Atlantic Ocean's configuration. The Atlantic Ocean's configuration and its location. Has historically been part of North Atlantic trade route. Part of North Atlantic trade routes. It was once the busiest trade route. Of course, now it has been replaced by Indian Ocean. It has once been the most busiest trade routes of the world. The Atlantic Ocean has very valuable shipping routes. Panama Canal, Gibraltar, Panama Canal, the Gibraltar. We have the access to St. Lawrence, Mississippi waterway. We have Panama Canal, a बहुत important trade route का part है. We have the Strait of Gibraltar. We have the access points to the St. Lawrence and the Mississippi navigation canals. Okay. The Mediterranean as extensions of Atlantic. The Mediterranean as extensions of Atlantic has access to the Black Sea channels and access to Suez Canal. Has access to Suez Canal, making Atlantic Ocean always relevant. Access to Black Sea channels or canals and access to the Suez Canal, making Atlantic Ocean always relevant to global trade. Okay? Go back and check your answer now. So now you have seen what I am doing. No paragraph descriptions, just the keywords. कहाँ पर है, names क्या है? Okay. Some unique features I've discussed 2 or 3 lines more. And while discussing the features, okay, I also add the significance. Masood, less than 7 minutes. इसीलिए don't start with defining Atlantic Ocean, please. Can I write a definition of Atlantic Ocean? पूरा ओशन वर्ल्ड का मैप बना दूं क्या? इतना लिख लो, टाइम बचेगा, फिर जो करना है कर देना. ठीक है? All done? So I've demonstrated 2 questions, and I repeat, you stress on what I mean by telegraphic or rather telescopic writing. Write short, keywords, not much of language, comma, full stop, bullets डाल के finish off the answer. Okay, so I'm done with second question. Now come to the third question. So we'll move on now. Third question. Now I'm shifting towards geomorphology. Ocean से शुरू किया. I am moving towards geomorphology. The question is, explain the concept of tsunami-genic zones. Explain the concept of tsunami-genic zones. Tsunami-genic zones. Explain how tsunamis occur and how they spread. Explain how tsunamis occur and how tsunamis spread. Okay, and maybe a passing reference is a comment on vulnerability of Indian coasts to tsunami. Comment on vulnerability of Indian coasts to tsunami. ऐसा अगर पूछेगा तो 15 मार्क का पूछा, सुनामी पूछा नहीं है. So I just have a gut feeling. Earthquakes पूछ दिया, they've asked volcanism. So major geomorphic issues में this is one topic. And they also have asked landslides, by the way. Okay. So tsunami is, oh, I have not given that mapping to you, no? अच्छा मैं भूल गया बताते. अच्छा maybe अगर loose page है तो उसमें लिख लो आप. I gave you this mapping, then I forgot the next one. Yes. So world physical geography में these questions asked. Okay, I forgot to mention what are the questions they've asked under geophysical phenomena. So you know what we are studying and why we are studying geophysical phenomena. Resources बाद में, okay? Resources हम अलग से करा देंगे. I'm focusing on the physical geography right now. Now, geophysical phenomena mein, they have asked 2 categories. They have asked phenomena related to geomorphology and phenomena related to atmosphere. Okay, under geomorphology, they have asked volcanism. They already have asked landslides. Earthquake का एक variant पूछा हुआ है. Volcanism, landslides, and earthquakes. Earthquakes part of your circum-Pacific belt पे पूछा है. Again, atmospheric में they've asked cyclones. They have asked El Nino. Okay, they have asked urban heat island. Urban heat island, and they also have asked about temperature inversion. Temperature inversion. My suggestion है आप रूम में जाकर ये questions proper लिख लो. It'll help you appreciate what they're asking. So go back to the room and open up the year when it asks search. The bank I gave you is good enough. Okay, last 10 साल में do some searching what has been asked. ठीक, all fine here. So that's why I'm saying tsunamis is an not asked question yet. Heat waves नहीं पूछा है अभी. Okay, these are the possible questions that you have to be ready with. ये तो होना ही चाहिए. By the way, all of you, you must go open up our website. Resources section में we have uploaded all the model answers of last year's. It's open. It's not closed there. And deliberately, though I'm saying model answers, तो ज्यादा लिखा है why ताकि from that question the topic is done. तो और कुछ पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी आपको. And we have done this for I think for 10 years कर दिया हमने, which fairly good details में है. All the GS. तो आप focus करो while the geography environment going on कि आप pre-YQ सारा खत्म कर देंगे अपने आप. And you have a doubt, ask me, I'll explain if required. But I think you shouldn't have too much problem. Let me focus on what I think are more important, more tricky questions. I can dwell on those. All of you. It is Edukemy website. Go to resource page and PYQs. Yes, we also have PYQs on essays. Okay, last I think 2 साल का upload किया है. Taking me time. मैं ही ultimate check करता हूँ, so it takes a bit more of time. ठीक है. But GS for 10 years we have uploaded. For पता नहीं 10 upload किया है या सिर्फ 2 क्या upload. Anyways, you go have a look once. And essays also, yes, we are doing that. Fine. ठीक है. So let's move on. So I'm doing tsunamis now. That's the idea. Okay, tsunamis. So what do I mean by tsunami-genic? What do I mean by tsunami-genic zones of the world? So one sentence, tsunami-genic zones, put a hyphen. They are the high tsunami vulnerable areas or locations. The high tsunami vulnerable areas. Okay. Areas or zones of the world. And remember, generally, tsunamis happen when the earthquake's magnitude is in excess of 7.5 on the Richter scale. Tsunamis happen when the earthquake's magnitude are more than 7.5 on the Richter scale. Okay. ये एक point हो गया. What are tsunamis-genic zones? Next point. Tsunamis are essentially rogue waves. What are tsunamis? Tsunamis are rogue waves associated with disturbance of the waters, because of underwater landslides, underwater volcanic eruptions, underwater landslides, underwater eruptions, underwater tectonic movements, and okay, subduction and ocean floor subduction. ये 4 reasons होते हैं why we have tsunamis. They essentially are related to, I said, related to disturbance of the ocean floor, and it can be because of underwater earthquakes, underwater volcanism, underwater tectonic activity, which is move kiya, shift kiya, underwater subduction. You can add one more point. They also linked to underwater landslides, which are also called as turbidity currents. Also called as turbidity currents. ये 5 reasons हैं. तो आप ही बताओ, क्वेश्चन तो पूछा है, what are tsunami-genic zones? So why am I writing on tsunamis like this? Anybody can guess what I'm doing? The question is, what are tsunami-genic zones, right? Then why am I writing what tsunamis and how are they formed? Because I will link it to कि जहां पर ये होता है, those are tsunami-genic zones. Okay. So see, I said nothing in the answer is not unrelated. आप कुछ भी लिखें, it must move towards the question asked. So first sentence was superficial. Yes, exactly, Atreya. Okay. That tsunami zening zones are areas where we have high probability of tsunamis. They are tsunami vulnerable areas. Tsunamis are rogue waves because of underwater disturbance or flood disturbance. Because of this, now the tsunami-genic zones are therefore are locations that have high probability of the above activities. In particular, what are the two most important reasons for tsunamis? In particular, it is the subduction zones wherever we have, and you have this underwater volcanism. Because subduction zones ultimately will include earthquake areas. Tectonic active zones will be volcanism areas, will be earthquake areas, will be subduction zones. Tectonic is a generic word. Okay? The two most vulnerable areas are the subduction zones and the volcanism areas. Take it right down. The following three areas of the world are the most potent tsunami-genic zones. They are the most potent, the more powerful tsunami-genic zones. Number one is Circum-Pacific Belt. Circum-Pacific Belt. They account for more than 70% of the world's volcanism. They account for more than 70% of the world's volcanism, and more than 80% of the world's large earthquakes. More than 80% of the world's large earthquakes. Okay, the Circum-Pacific Belt are ocean collision zones. Ocean collision zones. Put a hyphen. West Pacific and North Pacific. कहाँ ocean है? West Pacific and North Pacific. And we have ocean continent zones or ocean continent collision zones. This is on the Eastern Pacific, North American coast and South American coast. North American and South American coast. Okay. In this belt, the vulnerable locations include Japanese islands, Philippines, Indonesian islands, Indonesian islands, Chile, Peru coast, North American coast. One of the worst earthquakes in the world has been the Chile earthquake. Okay, so Chile coast, the Peru coast, the North American, Californian, Canadian coasts. These are Philippines, you mentioned. All of these are the vulnerable tsunami-genic zones. Okay, that's one reason, one area. The second is okay, the Indian Ocean belt in the North Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean belt of the North Indian Ocean. This is the coasts of Arabian Peninsula and Iran. Coast of Arabian Peninsula and Iran. It's a subduction zone called as Mekran subduction zone. It's a subduction zone called as Mekran subduction zone. Okay. ये जो zone है यहाँ पर, if you guys know, this is a triple junction. Okay, one arm of the fault is like this, one arm comes like this, and one goes like this. Okay, यहाँ पर there is some not as intense, but यहाँ पर है. This area is called as the Mekran subduction zone. The Mekran subduction zone. Not as powerful as the circumpacific belt, but ये important है. That's why it's a misnomer that India का east coast is vulnerable and not the west coast. ये गलत idea है. Okay, east coast में yes, because you have Andaman, Nicobar, Indonesian islands. You have earthquakes here. You can have tsunamis moving towards Indian coast. That's okay, which happened in 2004. Okay, but it is not that this west coast is not vulnerable. A question आगे लिखा है ना, what are the vulnerabilities of Indian coast? Remember this. Mekran coast is a subduction zone, not a very powerful one, but it has, and this can make even the Arabian Sea coast of India vulnerable to tsunamis. Okay, and any subduction zone will be violent zone. The second zone. The third one is the mid-Atlantic ridge. The mid-Atlantic ridge earthquakes, the mid-Atlantic, more of Atlantic Ocean earthquakes, and its impact on the Atlantic Ocean coasts. Impact on the Atlantic Ocean coast. But you know, the Moors, they have very less earthquakes. About 2, 3, 4% earthquakes hote hain around. However, this is not the most vulnerable zone. This is not the most vulnerable zone. Vulnerable zone. Okay, because the earthquakes are mostly gentle. Okay, most earthquakes have a Richter scale में less than 3 to 4, less than 3 and 4 on the Richter scale. Okay, they are basaltic eruptions, so not as dangerous. They are basaltic eruptions, and hence they are not as dangerous. Okay, so I presume you should be able to draw this diagram. ये not बता दिया आपने. Okay, for Atlantic Ocean, never draw the complete world map. You'll always end up missing. Okay, just draw a part which you want to show. Okay, so आपको दिखाना है. So this is the Moor location. Okay, and some of the areas vulnerable, you just tick off. Okay, some of these areas can have earthquakes, okay, but they are not as powerful. But you have to draw the Pacific Ocean one a bit more diligently. Okay, Atlantic Ocean, okay, if you can have time. But the Pacific Ocean is what you must draw a bit more carefully. So this, your diagrams must not take more than a few seconds to draw. 30, 40, 50 seconds, not more than 1 minute if possible. Okay, indicative होना ही काफी है. And my suggestion is keep color pencils with you. In color pencil, what happens is you need not shade too much. Okay, so color pencil में आप इसको जल्दी से yellow, orange use कर लेना. This is the circumpacific belt, the most potent area of earthquakes. Yes, Nishu, it's related to Capri is not required. If you draw the full map, 3 problem है. Okay, एक तो full map बनाने में बहुत time लगता है. फिर full map आपका बहुत जगह ले लेगा. Okay, and third is आपके सारी mistakes दिख जाएंगी. Why do you want to tell the examiner what all you can't draw? आप एक part बनाओगे तो आपका mistakes दिखता नहीं है. As simple as that. Why do you want to tell, showcase all your gaps? Yes, you can. You can use color pens, but do not use green and red, because those 2 colors are used for corrections. You keep orange color, keep a yellow color, keep a blue color, keep a black. Okay, आपका पेन है, pencil है, good enough. I encourage that. Okay, it's part of the bluffing game. सुंदर लगेगा तो उसमें marks मिलते हैं. Okay. Guys, looks matter. Okay, कहने वाली बात है, looks don't matter, but looks matter. Okay, जितना सुंदर बना पाओ बना लो. Okay, but not compromising the content. Yes. Can I move on now? These are the tsunami-genic zones of the world. Okay. Now I'm asking you, tell us about how tsunamis develop. So see the heading. Iska heading kya tha? Upar tsunami-genic zones of the world. Okay, you have mentioned it. The second heading will be how tsunamis develop. How tsunamis develop. Okay, so number one, remember that tsunamis are caused by water basin getting shaken. They're formed by water basin getting shaken. There is displacement, large-scale displacement of water. Large-scale displacement of water. How they develop. One. Number two, tsunamis are waves. And they are shallow waves. Tsunamis, they are shallow waves. Anybody knows what I mean? What I mean by shallow waves? What basically means is that the ocean floor is at lesser depth compared to the tsunami wave base. Likho. They are shallow waves. Matlab kya hai? That the ocean floor depth, depth are at lesser depth compared to the wave base. Put a hyphen. The tsunami waves touch the floor. The tsunami waves touch the floor. Now see, जो भी ocean waves होते हैं, whatever ocean waves we have, the ocean waves are always particles that have circulation paths, like ऐसे particles. Okay, they oscillate on circulation or on circulatory paths. Okay, अगर ये wave है, इस wave में ऐसे particle ऐसे घूमेगा. The particle is following a circulatory path. Okay, this wave. इसमें ज़्यादा it will rotate like this, and at some point it becomes zero. Okay, तो जितना आपका amplitude high होगा and the wavelength अगर कम होगा, okay, this is a more wavelength from this crest wavelength. This is a small wavelength. जितना wavelength कम होगा, the circulatory path of particle is less, and the depth at which they become zero is less. But if more amplitude, okay, it will have a bigger path. The depth where they become zero is deeper. And imagine, okay, this is the ocean floor. The ocean floor. Okay, so if I compare this where the circulation becomes zero, इसको बोलते हैं wave base of this wave. ये wave base of this wave is the wave base of this wave. This is the wave base of this wave. Okay, so if the ocean floor का जो depth है, it is less than the wave base. Imagine here. Okay, this wave base is here, but ocean floor यहीं तक है. इसका wave base यहाँ पर है और depth यहाँ पर है. Okay, यहाँ पर the depth of the ocean floor is much more than the wave base, which means this wave and its movement does not touch the floor. In this case, the wave and its motion is touching the floor. यहाँ पर friction हो रहा है. We have some friction here. What happened? Yeah, we have some frictions happening here. So these type of waves where the wave base is more than the depth of ocean, we call these kind of waves as shallow waves. as in the ocean ka floor shallow hai compared to the wave base. So tsunamis are shallow waves. Okay, you do not need too much of physics, just know this point. Okay, so likh lo notes mein, tsunamis are shallow waves, and within bracket you mention this. Okay, that the wave base of tsunami waves, the wave base of tsunami waves is at a greater depth than that of the ocean floor. Is at a greater depth than at that of the ocean floor. इसमें क्या होगा? Because of this, because this particle is circulating like this, और यहाँ पर rub हो रहा है, means this part becomes stationary and this part keeps on moving. So because of this, this will become very, very steep. It's like ये फिर smooth नहीं move करेगा. Okay, this has stopped and this will pile up and become very, very steep. It's something like, you know, I'm running और किसी ने मेरा पैर पकड़ लिया, I'll fall on the face, right? Okay, so because the waves is touching the base, okay, or the floor, this will have friction here, and the water moving here is like, imagine the water is moving like this. While moving like this, ये वाला part रुक गया है. So this water will pile up here, It can't move smoothly, pile up and become a massive wave. Okay, so in tsunamis, a very important role is the type of the wavelength. That is why the depth of the ocean floor matters. Jitna kam depth hoga, utna powerful tsunamis hoga. Therefore, tsunamis are not as perceptible in the open oceans. They are more powerful where? Near the coasts. So what are the factors in the development of tsunamis? When I said the shaking of the ocean base is one factor. The second I said the tsunamis are shallow waves. Continue now. So the depth of the water is a very important factor in the size of the tsunami waves. The depth of the water is a very important factor in the size of the tsunami waves. Yes. Ye wala point. Yes. Very important factor is the depth of the ocean floor. Therefore, tsunamis are not as perceptible. Tsunamis are not as perceptible. Okay. In the open oceans. Are not as perceptible in the open oceans, but become very powerful, pronounced, and high waves. They become very pronounced, they become very perceptible and high waves as they near the coast. As they near the coast. Okay. That's one. The third point, or the fourth point, जो भी है आपका, क्या fourth, third क्या है? Or whatever number, आप लिख लो, जो भी है, ठीक है. The next point is that when the tsunami gets initiated, there is a split of the ocean waters. There is a split of the ocean waters. Okay, put a hyphen. Some water moves towards the coast. Some water moves towards the coast. And some moves towards open sea. Some moves towards the coast and some moves towards the open sea. Okay. Next point. As the wave steepness increases with the tsunamis approaching the coast. As the wave steepness increases, as the tsunami approaches the coast, there is a massive drawback of waters. There is a massive drawback of waters. Let me explain this to you. Ab dekho, say this is the ocean water, and this is, say, the coastline and the floor of the oceans. Say something happened here. It has shaken. Because shaking, is water ye bhi shake ho gaya. So some water moves like this, and some water moves like this. Can you all imagine here? Okay, this is called as water split. It's like a rocking boat types. Okay, आपने हिला दिया इसको, so some water moves here and some water moves here. And remember that this depth is less. So when the water again comes back, when it comes back here, because of friction, okay, ये smooth move नहीं करेगा. Okay, and it comes here because it touches the floor here. This will start to rise up and become massive. When it rises up, the water here will get drawn back, right? And imagine here, it's something like आप सोचो कि किसी ने यहाँ पानी पकड़ के इसको ऊपर खींच दिया तो क्या होगा? Okay, this water will come back. If you are standing on the coast and watching here, what do you watch? You see the water rise here, and this water is going back. And it can go back 3, 4, 5 kilometers sometimes. And then the whole thing will surge towards the coast. So this water drawback is one of the signs of there will be tsunami. And the most effective tsunami warning happens generally 10, 15 minutes before the tsunami. Okay, and that's not enough time to react. Yes, water retreats back, correct. So there is shaking of waters, there is split of waters, and then as water comes together, the water pile ups, and we call this as steep waves, very high waves. Because the high waves, the water draws back from here, and then the whole system, because the waves are the whole thing will start moving towards the shore. Okay, so drawback is a very important part of tsunami. Definitely bracket it down. Drawback, water drawback, and is an important part of water drawback is an important part of tsunami warning systems. Is an important part of tsunami warning systems. The next is the tsunami waves. The tsunami waves amplifies. It becomes large. It amplifies and moves towards the coast. It amplifies and moves towards the coast. Last one is the run-up. Run-up is the waves crashing on the shore. Run-up is the waves moving very fast and crashing on the shore. So ocean shaking, then you have ocean split, then we have rising steepness and drawback. Okay, the amplification, the wave becomes very large, and then there's run-up. The tsunamis will crash on the shore. Now see, in tsunami warning systems, we can use all of this part of your tsunami early alerts. कि कहीं पानी fast split हो रहा है. Somewhere the drawback is happening. Somewhere it's steepening very fast. All of this combined करके we can have some kind of tsunami warning systems. Okay, so how tsunamis develop? What are tsunami genic zones? The third point. Commenting on vulnerability of Indian coasts. Commenting on vulnerability of Indian coasts. Okay. So fact number one is that Indian coasts are not tectonically active zones. Indian का immediate coast है, Bay of Bengal coast हो या फिर Arabian Sea coast हो, they are not immediately tectonic active zones. Okay, so by that sense, we say it is not tsunami vulnerable. However, the Indian coasts have proximity with, they are near, they have proximity with okay, subduction zones. Their proximity with the subduction zones, both in Bay of Bengal and also Arabian Sea. Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. Okay. So in the Bay of Bengal, there is Indonesian subduction zone. In the Bay of Bengal, there is Indonesian subduction zone with the Burma plate. Indonesian subduction zone with the Burma plate. In northern Sumatra, the Burma plate. Okay, and this caused earthquakes and tsunamis in 2004. This caused earthquakes and tsunamis in 2004. So that's the Indian coast, something like this. That's Andaman, Nicobar Islands. This is Sumatra, Java. That's the equator here. So ये वाला part जो है, okay, all this part is subduction zones. Okay, so because of earthquakes here, यहाँ से tsunamis can travel. Okay, so this is Indonesia, Sumatra. This province is called as the Aceh province. This has a lot of earthquakes. Aceh province of Indonesia. This is a subduction zone. यहीं पर आपका Sunda Trench है. This is Sunda Trench. Sunda Trench. So the east coast is vulnerable along with Sri Lanka and Maldives. That's one. And second is the Mekran coast. The proximity near the Mekran subduction, okay, boundary or subduction zone. Mekran subduction zone. This makes the west coast also vulnerable. It makes the west coast also vulnerable. Okay. The first point is proximity with the Indonesian subduction zone, Sunda and Sumatra. Second is proximity with the Mekran subduction zone. Okay. Third point, the west coast of India, is also a zone of subsidence. Because of okay, older tectonic activity. Because of older tectonic activity. I hope some of you know this. Okay, the India का जो west coast है, this west coast, ये पूरा west coast जो है, okay, this is a zone of subsidence. ये धंस गया था. This has a normal fault. It has a normal fault. Okay, it's like it was a massive plateau once upon a time, or a crack ho gaya, and this part has gone underneath. Okay, and this is the remaining Indian plateau, and the Arabian Sea is here. So this zone is already a fault zone. ये fault zone है, western part जो है. Okay, which means there's every possibility for ancient fault zones to activate. There's every possibility for the ancient fault zones to activate. Fault zones to activate. Okay, so while we do not have a history of tsunamis in the past, but does not mean it is not vulnerable tsunamis. The conclusion is both East Coast and West Coast. Both East Coast and West Coast are tsunami vulnerable zones. अच्छा, इतना तो आपका tsunamis बता दिया. Now अलग से पूछा नहीं है question, but I think you better know this. Red heading, tsunami early warning systems and tsunami management. Tsunami early warning systems and tsunami management. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 points. The question का part नहीं है, but you better know this. The first point is that 2004 tsunami was one of the most devastating disasters in India. Was one of the most devastating disasters of India. Following which India set up ITEWS, Indian Tsunami Early Warning System. Indian Tsunami Early Warning System, ITEWS. It was set up in 2007. And it is operated by INCOIS. INCOIS. Indian National Center for Ocean Information Systems. Ocean Information Systems. जो INCOIS है, this was set up in 1999. It operates under Ministry of Earth Sciences. It's like a center for lot of scientific research, data collection. Okay. And it has been given the additional task of managing tsunamis. Okay. Next, write down. ITEWS comprises a real-time network of seismic systems, seismic stations. It comprises real-time network of seismic stations working 24/7. It can forecast and detect tsunamis before 10 to 20 minutes. Of their occurrence. Next, write down. ITEWS as part of INCOIS, has been designated as a tsunami service provider. By UNESCO IOC. Intergovernmental Oceanic Commission. There's a body called as a UNESCO IOC. Okay, intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. In fact, global level mein, this is the main body that deals with tsunami threats. At the global level, okay, this is the main body that deals with tsunami. So it has designated India's ITEWCS as the main center for providing tsunami early warning systems for 28 Indian Ocean rim countries. इसके अलावा you have one center at Indonesia and one also at Australia. One at Indonesia and one at Australia. I hope you know one fact. See, in India's Indo-Pacific strategy and India's Indian Ocean rim strategy, there are two things we want, and that we are declaring ourselves that India is the net security provider for all littoral countries of the Indian Ocean. ये हम चाहते हैं और US मानता है, and we want to establish this, that we are the main country for net security, means all types, not just military. Okay, whether it's tsunami, cyclones, earthquakes, whether it's migrations or sea level rise, whatever. India is considered as the net security provider. Plus, we also want to dominate and be the most reliable partners in humanitarian assistance and disaster risk reduction, HADR. These two are very important goals of India in Indian Ocean region. Okay. That's why kahin cyclone hota, we reach first. Okay, I mean, it's part of, I think, the responsibility we have taken Okay, because see, you are बैठे कोई आपको थोड़ी बना देगा great leader of the world. Okay, you have to do something there. If China can flex money, we can flex our operational efficiency. How fast we were at Syrian Turkey earthquake relief, right? Overnight, almost we can reach there. Okay, I mean, our experience has taught us to be resilient, robust. We have experienced many cyclones. We are there first. The same thing with earthquakes. The same thing with tsunamis. So we want to project India as a net security provider, and India as the main country for humanitarian assistance and disaster risk reduction (HADR) responsibilities. इसके अंडर में it is important to see that India is one of the major centers for cyclone warning. India is a major center for tsunami warning and tsunami relief. It's part of that agenda. Okay, it's part of the larger. It's not simply environment. It's part of the larger security dimension of India's Indo-Pacific strategy. Okay, so India is, along Indonesia and Australia, India is one of the major tsunami early warning centers for the world. That's one fact. Right next. India has a very high tsunami ready approach. India has a very high tsunami ready approach. Okay, in fact, this initiative was also launched by UNESCO. You have to be tsunami ready approach with focus on community-based interventions. We focus on community-based interventions. And to that effect, two villages of Odisha have been designated as tsunami ready. Two villages of Odisha are considered to be tsunami ready. Venkat Raipur in Odisha. This is in the Ganjam district. Okay, and the second is Nolia Sahi in Jagat Singhpur district near Paradip Port. These two villages, Venkat Raipur village in Ganjam district and Nolia Sahi village in Jagat Singhpur district. Right, next. The objective for the near future is that all major coastal villages of India must be designated as tsunami ready. Next slide down. INCOIS has partnered with ISRO. Uses NAVIC systems, NAVIC, navigational satellite systems, NAVIC systems. Okay, and also works in collaboration with. Department of Science, DOS, Department of Science. Department of Space, DOS is Department of Space. CSIR, and NIOT, National Institute of Ocean Technology. NIOT, National Institute of Ocean Technology, for consistent for consistent development of tsunami forecasting and tsunami response capability. Tsunami, okay, forecasting and tsunami response capability. The question I'm looking at is discuss India's preparedness for tsunami management in India. Okay, one page is good enough. What are tsunamis? How are they impacting us? This is, put a question mark. The question is, discuss India's tsunami preparedness. Okay. Preparedness to deal with tsunami disasters. NIOT, National Institute of Ocean Technology. NIOT. ठीक है? Fine then, I think I have crossed our time. 4 to 6 classes हैं. The next class is when? On 7th, right? Monday. ठीक है, we continue on Monday. Monday I'll go towards one more topic of this phenomena, heat waves, earthquakes, and then I'll go on towards desertification, water issues and the rest. So आप जो भी आप revise कर सकते हैं, see I will move with geography and environment simultaneously. Okay, because इसको आप अलग-अलग नहीं कर सकते. When I'm discussing geomorphology, I move on towards earthquakes and tsunamis and heat waves also. Revise and come. Make your synopsis, summaries. Okay, fine, Shrishti. Okay, so we'll do this. Be patient. I hope you see that how your content is very different from what you have been taught in foundation classes. Foundation is, you just move through quickly. यहाँ पर आपके answer form में क्या points होगा, क्या diagrams. So after maybe 10 odd classes, we'll move towards active answer writing. What should we take synopsis, sir? Entire notes. Pradeep, the entire notes have to be summarized and memorized. नहीं क्या है तो इसी टाइम में करो, मर पड़ के करो. Okay, fine. Bye-bye, all of you. Have a nice weekend. Okay, revise and we meet on Monday again. Yeah, all classes are at 4 to 6 o'clock. Yes. Generally, it is 3 days a week, not every day. Mohammed, I do not know. You must ask. अगर announce किया गया तो क्या होगा? You must ask the team maybe. Bye, all of you. Bye-bye.